it's come to my attention that a lot of people on Chainsaw Man Twitter do not read the manga that they talk about. You know how I half-heartedly said that I feel like most of the new generation of manga readers and anime watchers just get short summaries from TikTok shorts? That's gaining a little bit more credibility, because I got a comment like this, and there is so many like this, not just on my post, but just in general right now. People are having a collective meltdown about Chainsaw Man. You just browser, and you see people absolutely upset, vile, and then you see the likes that's attached to this and all that. People truly upset that there's any form of, like, 18 plus content within the chapter, and I'm like, are we reading the same manga? This is the same manga, by the way, that legitimately had a color page with these characters basically nude, okay? And if you know, you know, you've seen it. And I'm just like, these people clearly have not read Chainsaw Man. And getting a comment from someone literally saying this, and I'm just gonna read it. Chibi missed the entire point of Chainsaw Man again. Yoru literally explains Denji in one chapter in the most basic way possible, and somehow you still boiled it down to Denji just likes sex. And I'm just like, bro, are we not reading the same manga? Yes, there is more to Denji than that, but you're not telling me you're going to say this statement with this chapter is the chapter that just came out. This is literally the latest chapter, chapter 193. You literally have an actual final page with this happening in it. It's like, bro, it's Denji. He wants it. I don't care. That's a part of his character. I'm like, these people legitimately do not read the manga they talk about. They get this headcanon, this fantasy in their head, and they get so vehemently upset when their headcanon just comes crashing on down. And I'm just like, these are the same individuals, by the way, that tried to cancel me and deplatform me back in, like, the summer of last year, prior to the doxing stuff, FYI. These are the same individuals that basically said I was wrong about the whole Yoru and Denji Dark Alley scene, and that Denji didn't want it. The same people, by the way. It just, they like to say I'm illiterate, they like to say I lack media literacy, and then they go and do stuff like this. It's just like, man, are we not reading the same series? You know, let's back up with some more evidence before I go even further, okay? Literally, this author, Fujimoto-sensei, the author of Chainsaw Man himself, you know, with all of his wisdom that these people think he have, like he doesn't like doing, like, Gooner content or anything like that, with all their wisdom, apparently, they seem to completely neglect the fact that he wrote this. This is something he wrote in Fire Punch. Read it for yourself, pause the video. He wrote this, and he wrote this. These people continuously seem to neglect that. They like to say they know Fujimoto. They like to say they love his works. They like to say they know how his mind is and his inner workings. This man has always added content like this within his stories. And the fact that you have people so upset with the fact that this chapter dare have anything like this in it, it's just blows my mind, man. These are also the same people that will straight up actively defend, like, mass violence within manga. Nothing wrong with dark, violent content within manga. Want to clarify that. Don't care at all. All I'm saying is these are the same people that will go to the edges of the earth, the ends of the world itself to defend violent content. But then when there's any form of sexual content, 18 plus content, that's a no-go. Can't do that. No, taboo, evil. And I'm like, yeah, see. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that this chapter that came out for Chainsaw Man, oh boy, do I not feel vindicated. I feel so vindicated with this chapter because, for one, I was right. I stay winning. We stay winning as a community. Secondly, people are getting so ill with this chapter. It's causing them to want to drop the manga. Now, you know what I said to that? Good. Drop the manga, get filtered. You're a freaking tourist. Straight up. I'm just going to be honest. I have no sympathy for those that continue to whine, complain, vehemently spit venom at people for just saying, yeah, Denji he wants to be with a woman, okay? I have no sympathy for people that get that upset and even advocate for actual threats against Fujimoto, aka the author of Chainsaw Man, to his life. I have no sympathy for those people whatsoever. I've seen it time and time again, especially in these last few weeks with these chapters. I hope they drop the manga. I hope they never come back to this series, and I just go out the door. Please. I don't want to see them anymore in this community, because honestly, they're damaging the community, and they clearly don't know how to read. Enough said. Anyways, this chapter of Chainsaw Man. As you can see, it's it's quite the chapter. It is, there's a lot going on with this chapter, actually. A lot that, can't just necessarily be boiled down to Denji being a gooner. But it's a big part of the chapter, okay? Anyone that tries to deny that, you're lying to yourself. You literally have a moment within the chapter where Denji says, "Could you please wiggle some more?" And these are the same people that look you in the eyes and say, Denji is not reciprocating, Denji doesn't want it, Denji doesn't like it. These are the same people that will tell you that straight to your face and say you have a media literacy issue. Funny how that works out, huh? This chapter continues basically what happened in the last chapter. Yoru sits down in Denji's lap. She's clearly doing the wiggle, so to speak, and she actively starts to be passionate with him, kissing him. Denji is getting flustered, he's blushing and all that. It's very clear he's embarrassed, not knowing what to do. She's talking about the situation, of how he looks pitiful, and also she wants to cheer him up. I'll get more into this. This dialogue is actually very important. But as the situation continues, they start talking, and he's like, "Hey, can you wiggle some more?" And it's just like, the whole situation just proves that Denji is very much enjoying this encounter with Yoru, and very much wants to continue talking with him, being around him, and so does Denji. Denji wants to be around her as well. Everything about this situation, they both are having passion with each other. Mutual understanding, mutual love, but there is some toxicity to this, which does need to be talked about. Obviously, at the end of the day, Yoru is manipulating Denji, and I'm not going to be someone that's going to deny that. However, Denji actively is aware of this. He actively knows that Yoru, the War Devil, is manipulating him. He's not dumb. As much as we want to call him a gooner, Denji isn't dumb. He has some intelligence, okay? He might not be like, Einstein, but he is not dumb, okay? He used to be, but, he's learned a lot. And what I'm trying to say is he actively knows that this moment here is manipulation. He's very well aware of it. He's super well aware of it. He knows what Yoru's doing. He's already been told what she wants to do to him. This is not something that just came up. It's not something that he's unaware of. You cannot deny that she's keeping stuff from him. She actively has told him what her intentions are. She's not trying to mislead him. She's not trying to say she's going to do this and not do this. She's just straight up being blunt. And this is something that obviously is fundamentally different than the Makima situation. And let's talk about that, because obviously this chapter does parallel Makima. It does. This final sequence at the end of the chapter is very much in line with the scene where Makima tries to manipulate Denji to do what she wants for he can get what he wants. And it was obvious that Makima was never going to reciprocate. Makima was never going to give Denji truly what he wanted. She was just saying that to get him to do what she wanted. But in this case, it's very clear from the intentions from Yoru herself, and then Asa's feelings being incorporated, because that was once again reminded that the feelings that Yoru is feeling is from Asa too. It's not just Yoru. So we know Yoru is also on the same page as this. Their feelings are just being very transparent and saying, look, we like you. We really like you. We like you a lot. But at the same time, we are going to give you what you want. But if you at the same time fail to give us what we want, then we will do the last available option, aka turn you into a weapon. And I think there is a lot of discussion and nuance to this conversation that needs to be talked about. Obviously, people are going to be quick to say manipulation, she's awful, and War Devil obviously isn't a good person. Obviously, we know she's not. But out of all the encounters that Denji has had to this very point, like with female interaction, okay, that could be a potential partner, this is probably the least toxic. Now, that doesn't mean this is a good thing, but it is definitely the least toxic. I mean, everyone he's encountered, like, just to name the first two that come to mind, Rize and Makima, extremely toxic. Like, we know how bad that is. Don't worry, that wasn't your computer. For some reason, Viz glitches out when I hover on a page for too long. But, Makima, obviously, we know how bad that was. Rize as well. She literally bit his tongue out of his mouth when they kissed, okay? And obviously that has not happened here. There's just passionate kissing going on between the two. What I'm trying to say is that Yoru fundamentally isn't a good person. There is some toxicity to her, but it's very clear deep down there is some more genuine love here than what was already presented prior. Doesn't mean that Denji deserves someone like this, or Denji only deserves something like this, but it does mean that there is change, fundamentally. It's getting better, okay? That's what's happening. But I think there is another big thing that needs to be talked about, the elephant in the room for this whole situation. And that is the fact that, once again, Yoru might be manipulating Denji, but like I said, she's not misdirecting him, she's not trying to lie about it, she's just being completely blunt. And she's like, look, I have an intimate moment with you. If you could beat the Death Devil. And I think that this comes from a place of legitimate truth. I don't think there is really any lie here whatsoever. I think legitimately what Yoru is saying is look, man, the Death Devil is, not good. World ending even. Like, that's what's been established for a while. That the Death Devil is basically going to end the world. It's an apocalypse. And go figure, if the world is about to end, your only option available, if Denji / Chainsaw Man can't beat Death Devil, the only option available at that point is to turn Denji into a weapon. So, I mean, the world's already messed up, about to end, and it's apocalyptic. That would be your only option. So, could you really... Yes, I know Denji's our main character, and it would be sad to see that happen, but could you blame war, okay, and Asa and Yoru turning him into a weapon if that meant saving the world? Like, I know it's not good, and it's not a really ideal option, but it's like, if the world's gonna end anyways, you might as well go the nuclear option, so to speak. So, you can't necessarily blame Yoru for wanting to turn Denji into a weapon if he's not able to win. And I think that's a big thing that people aren't discussing, is that she is actively giving Denji the chance to fight and win. And he has proven time and time again that he can win. He has beat something that is basically almost impossible. Aging Devil. Insane. But he managed to get a win. Infinity. He got a win. You know, Control Devil. He got a win. I mean, he has come out of some really difficult fights that legitimately he should not have won. He might have had help here and there, but Denji legitimately has shown time and time again he can overcome a lot of powerful opponents, even if it doesn't seem like he should be able to. So in this case, it's more or less Yoru / Asa believing in Denji being able to handle the situation, and that's about it. But obviously the nuclear option is if he can't win, you gotta be turned into a weapon. That's the only option there. So yeah, I don't know. I think there is manipulation, but I don't think it comes from a place in a very similar way as Makima. It is night and day in comparison to that. Now, something I do want to mention as well is obviously the dialogue here with Denji crying, breaking down and saying, I'm so glad somebody who still likes me. I think this is a very big moment, and I've been seeing this a lot as of late in the community, not just like on Twitter, mainly on Twitter, but I've been seeing this in the community, a complaint about Denji being a cycle of regression or not developing, so let's dive into that. So Denji as a character, he's went through a lot. A lot is honestly a very short summary, but it's been a lot for his character, okay? That's just, he's definitely someone I would not want to be in their shoes of. Like, I would not want to actively live as Denji. Like, his life has been just total, pardon me for my language, shit. That's exactly what it's been. And I think that in general, Denji has suffered a lot. He continuously gains and loses, and he showcases the cycle of humanity itself. And I feel like a lot of people are not really looking at this aspect of just how resilient, not just he is, but humans can be. Because we as humans, if we continue to struggle on day by day, one step at a time, eventually we will gather more things. Eventually we put more things in our bag and carry them with us as we continue going forward in life. No matter how much you lose, no matter how much that you continue to break down, if you continue to breathe, you continue to live, you will continue to go forward in time, and eventually changes will happen. Gradual, large, doesn't matter. And in this case, Denji is a good representation of an individual that has been dealing with so much loss, so much gain, and just how he reacts to that. He reacts to these things in a way that honestly is inspiring, despite obviously him not handling it maybe always in the most logical way, or even in the most positive way. Sometimes he handles it in a very toxic manner, but the way he handles obstacles is a little bit inspiring, because not a lot of people would be able to pick themselves back up after everything that he's experienced. Hell, I talked about it 2 chapters ago, that he lost everything. I mean, the whole scene with Yoshida trying to blackmail him and say, yeah, here's your friends or whatever you broke out with and all that, like, yeah, if you don't do what we say, they're gonna die, and obviously just Denji didn't care, because he has no connection with them. And it showed in that time period that just, he has nothing. There's nothing left. But he hasn't just shut down. He moves. And in this case, this scene right here, what Denji is relating to is not just the fact of his loss of losing family and friends and animals and stuff, or home. He's more or less lamenting the fact that he's glad someone in this world still cherishes him, that wants him to be around, because it's very clear up to this very point, thanks to the world turning against him as Chainsaw Man, nobody really wants him anymore. People don't want him to exist. People just want to turn him into a weapon, and that's it. And obviously this is very important to the final panel where Yoru says, I'll turn you into a weapon. But prior to her saying that, she's like, look, bring the Death Devil down. Yoru actively is wishing for Denji's success. Yoru wants Denji to succeed, for she doesn't have to go the nuclear option. And Denji feels love. Like, he feels happy to know someone believes in him. Someone loves him. Someone still in this world that knows who he is, what he's been through to a degree, and still wants to be there for him. That is what he's talking about in this scene. And people like to say this is just a cycle of the same old, same old, same old, same old. He's a human. Denji has been dealing with human psychology, like how we are as actual entities of beings. And it really pisses people off to see this, because this is how people are. We are illogical creatures that will continue to do mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. You get the point. We will continue to do things wrong and doing regression as a person throughout our entire life. People like to act like we don't do that, but we do. There is so many people in this world right now that do the very thing that Denji does, maybe in different ways, but does the exact same thing. So those people not understanding what Fujimoto is trying to cultivate here in his own unique and wacky way, it's astounding to me. But on top of that, if people are legitimately getting this vehemently upset with Chainsaw Man and Denji as a character, drop the series. Because obviously the series isn't for you if it's making you this upset. Just gonna say, obviously those people are not gonna drop the series because they like complaining about it because it brings them clout. That's the truth. But, anyways. I really like this chapter. Besides, obviously, the goon content, it's a very good chapter, because it relays a lot about Yoru's personal feelings, too, and every time Denji is getting sad, you can see that Yoru, one side of her is, happy that Denji's crying, but then you can see the eyes of concern as well. There is a genuine look of concern on her face, despite obviously some happiness too. And this showcases the aspects of the devil and human side of Yoru/Asa, and how their characters are fundamentally merging. They are merging. Personality-wise, most likely. And I think that in this case, there is a common back and forth here with the character, not understanding why she's so sad to see Denji upset, but also happy as well. And there's these mixed feelings that you can clearly see. This facial expression proves it. She gets sad seeing Denji really upset. And Denji's not Chainsaw Man. This is not Puchita. This is Denji. And you can see the emotion that she is feeling towards Denji, that she genuinely is feeling pity and sadness for him. And so when she puts on her face is smiling again, you poor thing, this is her lying to herself, trying to say, oh, and all that, but then you can see her facial expression change a little bit into passion, trying to kiss him, change his mind about things. I think that in general, this showcases a genuine part of concern for Denji as a person. She cares about him. She might not be able to express it perfectly, but it is coming out slowly but surely. And I feel like a lot of people miss this nuance with the character, that it's very clear that she truly does actually love him, because if she didn't, she would have already turned him into a weapon. She already would have. But the fact she hasn't showcases her attachment to Denji. I think that is enough reason. I mean, the whole story of Part 2 of Chainsaw Man, at least for the War Devil, is about the more attached she is to a person slash object, the greater and stronger the weapon is. So by all technicality, she's already achieved the goal. I mean, obviously there could be some weird rules and restrictions to turning Pushita and Denji into a weapon, but even if that does indeed happen, at this very moment, we don't know that. Yoru doesn't know that. She believes she has the conditions, but she has not tried it. And the fact she actively has not tried it, she has had her hands all over him and everything, showcases her attachment to Denji. She loves him. Asa loves him. And if Asa didn't love him, that emotion of hatred or distaste or disgust would pour into Yoru. So the fact that's also not happening showcases it is mutual between both characters. But once again, I'll be called that I'm the illiterate one. I have the lack of media literacy. Go figure. You know people do that. Anyways, stay winning. I love you guys. Chibi out.